What if I told you that right now, in your wallet, there's a $100 bill? And in a millionaire's wallet, there's the exact same $100 bill. Same paper, same ink, same Benjamin Franklin staring back at you. But here's the strange part. In your brain, that $100 means something completely different than it does in theirs. Same money, two completely different operating systems running underneath. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that difference is. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let's start with what most people think the difference is. Most people assume millionaires think about $100 and just shrug. It's nothing to them. That's the myth. That's what Hollywood sold you. Rich people lighting cigars with cash, throwing $100 bills around like confetti. But here's what's actually wild. The real data on self-made millionaires tells a completely different story. And it's almost the opposite of what you'd expect. Ramsey Solutions ran the largest study of millionaires ever conducted, 10,000 of them. And one number from that study should stop you in your tracks. 94% of these millionaires said they live on less than they make, not barely less. Less. On purpose. Nearly 3 out of 4 of them have never carried a credit card balance in their entire lives. Never. Not once. So if you pictured a millionaire casually blowing through $100 without thinking, you had it backwards. The data says the opposite kind of person tends to become the millionaire in the first place. So what's actually happening in their brain when they see that $100 bill? Let's break it down, piece by piece, because this is where it gets interesting. In your brain, and I'm not judging, this is just how most of us are wired. $100 often gets filed under spending money. It's an amount that feels good to use right now. A nice dinner, new shoes, a spontaneous Amazon cart that mysteriously fills up at 11 at night. The $100 exists in the present tense. It's about right now. In a self-made millionaire's brain, that same $100 often gets filed completely differently. It's not spending money. It's seed money. It's a unit of future money. And here's the part that should genuinely shock you. Fidelity Investments found that over 80% of self-made millionaires save at least 20% of their income every single year, automatically. Not when they feel like it. Not when there's extra left over. Automatically, as a rule, before anything else touches that paycheck. Think about what that actually means. If your brain treats $100 as spend it, and their brain treats $100 as 20 of this is already gone before I even see it, you are operating on two entirely different mental software systems. Same currency, different code running underneath. Now here's where most people get stuck, and I want to be honest with you about this, because too many finance videos lie to you here. They tell you millionaires got rich because they made huge salaries. That's not what the data shows. The Ramsey study found that only 3% of millionaires averaged $100,000 a year over their entire career. 1/3 of them never made 6 figures in a single year. Read that again. 1/3 of these millionaires never even crossed $100,000 in any single year of their working life. And they still ended up millionaires. So, if it's not income, what is it? It's the gap. The space between what comes in and what goes out. That gap, held consistently, for a long enough time, is the entire secret. There's a simple way to say this that completely reframes how $100 works in your head. Wealth isn't created by how much money flows through your hands. It's created by how much you let stick. A person earning $80,000 a year who saves 30% of it will, over time, outbuild someone earning $200,000 who only saves 5%. Income gets all the attention. The gap is what actually builds the result. Now let's go deeper into the psychology, because this is where it gets almost uncomfortable, in a good way. When your brain sees $100, there's a researched behavioral pattern called mental accounting. It's the idea that we don't treat all money the same. We mentally sort it into different buckets, depending on where it came from or how we plan to use it. $100 from a paycheck feels different than $100 found in an old jacket pocket, even though it spends identically. Most people's brains assign windfall money, birthday cash, tax refunds, bonuses into the fun spending bucket almost instantly. It feels like it doesn't really count. Self-made millionaires tend to override that instinct. Their mental accounting system treats almost every dollar found or earned the same way, as raw material for the future. Not because they're robots, not because they don't enjoy life, but because somewhere along the way, they built the habit of asking one specific question before spending. What does this $100 turn into if I don't spend it today? That single question is the entire engine of compound interest. And here's where I need you to actually sit with the math for a second. Because most people have heard the phrase compound interest 1,000 times and never actually felt it. If you invest $100 today into an index fund, averaging a historical long-term return around 9 to 10% annually, and you never touch it. That $100 can roughly double every 7 to 8 years, not because you did anything, just because you left it alone. In 30 years, that single untouched $100 bill could realistically grow into well over $1,000 from one decision, made once, to not spend it. Now multiply that by every single $100 decision you make in a year. Let's just get this, every impulse card, every almost invisible swipe. Your brain isn't built to see 30 years into the future when you're standing in a checkout line. That's not a character flaw, it's literally how human brains are wired. We are built for the present, not for a future date that feels abstract and far away. Millionaires didn't get a different brain. Many of them simply built a system that removes the decision entirely. Automation. Before you see transfers. Rules, instead of willpower. Here's a twist most people don't expect. You'd think millionaires got there by being investment geniuses, picking the next big stock, timing the market perfectly. The Ramsey data actually says the opposite. Not a single millionaire in that 10,000-person study credited investing as a major factor in their wealth. Not one. Instead, 75% said the real driver was something almost boring, regular, consistent investing. Over a long period of time, no timing, no genius picks, just repetition, done long enough that math eventually took over. So that $100 bill in their brain isn't even about being smart with money in some flashy way. It's about being boring with money, on purpose. For long enough that boring becomes powerful. Let's talk about something else that separates the two mindsets. What $100 represents emotionally. For a lot of people, spending money in the moment delivers a small hit of relief or excitement. It's not really about the item. It's about the feeling of I deserve this, or I worked hard. I should enjoy it. That feeling is real, and honestly, it's human. Nobody's wired to deny themselves forever. But here's the mental shift that shows up again and again in research on self-made wealth. Many millionaires report getting that same emotional payoff from watching their net worth grow instead of from the purchase itself. The win gets relocated. Instead of the dopamine hit coming from buying something, it comes from seeing a number go up in an account. Once that shift happens, saving doesn't even feel like sacrifice anymore. It starts to feel like the more satisfying option. That's not willpower, that's a rewired reward system. And it's something almost anyone can build with enough repetition. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, but millionaires don't even worry about money the same way. I do, of course they can afford to think long term. Fair point. But here's the twist that should genuinely surprise you. Multiple surveys of self-made millionaires found that the majority still describe themselves as frugal. Most drive their cars for 7 or more years before replacing them. A large share didn't even put 20% down on their first home. They use credit cards but as a tool, paid off completely every month, not as borrowed spending. The wealth didn't remove the discipline. The discipline came first. The wealth came after. So let's bring this back to the $100 bill sitting in your hand right now. Because here's the real takeaway. And it's simpler than you'd think. The difference between your brain and a millionaire's brain isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's not some secret stock tip. It's a single repeated question, asked almost without thinking. Is this $100 going to work for me? Or disappear for me? That's it. That's the entire mental software difference. One version of that question runs on autopilot toward spending. The other version runs on autopilot toward building. And the wild part is, you can literally rewire which one runs automatically in your own head, starting today. By doing exactly what the data shows millionaires do, remove the decision, automate a percentage before you ever see it. Even 5%, even 10%. You're not trying to become a different person. Overnight, you're just trying to install a different default. Because here's the truth, nobody tells you in those flashy finance videos. The $100 bill was never the point. It was never about the bill itself. It's about which future version of yourself that $100 is quietly voting for every single time you decide what to do with it. So next time $100 lands in your hands, ask yourself the question that's running in a self-made millionaire's brain right now, automatically, without them even noticing it anymore. Is this spending, or is this seed money? If this actually shifted how you think about money, even a little, hit subscribe, because next time, we're breaking down the exact account structure self-made millionaires used to automate this entire process, so you never have to rely on willpower again. See you in the next one.